What disease/illness we don't talk about enough, but we should? Schizophrenia. Because I don't know what the fuck is happening to me every day, and treatment does not work. Sleep apnea and the outrageous prices of CPAPs and BiPAPs when you literally stop fucking breathing when you sleep. People should be more aware of invisible illnesses and neurological conditions like epilepsy. PCOS. I'm a guy, and I've only heard it because of a girl I was casually dating explained it to me. Maybe I'm a dunce, but it wasn't something I was familiar with. Not a disease or illness, but definitely can create health issues, menopause and perimenopause. Half the population will go through it, but it's even difficult to find a gynecologist that is knowledgeable on the topic. Type 1 diabetes. I generally downplay it too. I can just take insulin and can eat whatever I want, because it's easier than explaining I'll be playing a game of Flappy Bird the rest of my life where if I get the dosage wrong I can die immediately and without warning, where if I don't have insulin for 3 days I die a horrible painful death, and if I ignore it I can go blind and lose the ability to digest food. And all the fucking beeping devices, all day every day. It's beeping at me right now. Oh, and insulin costs $600 a month, so that's cool. Multiple sclerosis. Sad face. Rheumatoid arthritis. It's an autoimmune disease that eats away at your joints and causes bone erosion. It's terrifying and extremely painful. My mom has it, and she has had all of the bones taken out of her toes and a metal plate put in BC the bones were being destroyed. No one truly understands it, and some just believe it's like normal arthritis pain. Endometriosis. What a horrible disease. Functional alcoholism. I feel like alcoholics are painted as these having rage monsters who are pissing themselves in public and taking swings at their wives. As long as you're holding down a job and staying out of trouble, alcohol dependency is not a big deal. But it probably should be. I work in the wine industry and I know a lot of extremely functional alcoholics. Nice people, good workers, and very much alcoholics. I feel like alcoholism only gets addressed if there's a rock bottom moment, or when the alcoholic gets liver cirrhosis. I believe that alcoholism is more common than anyone believes, but we don't consider functional alcoholics as actual alcoholics. OCD. It's hell on earth. I'm tired of being misjudged and unheard. I think narcolepsy is something that people joke about and think they have an idea of what it is. Then I learned it's not like I always thought. Blood clots. I know many people who have had them and a few people who have died. I have a clotting disorder that I found out about last year, and I must say while it can be fatal, there are many easy ways to manage them and or make sure they don't come back again. Unfortunately, there's not always symptoms. However, when there are, people usually ignore them because the average person doesn't know what signs to look for. OCD is such a poorly represented mental illness. It's a hell to live with. And I didn't get help for so long because I didn't fit the stereotypical, neat and perfectionistic OCD. There's so many types and so many varying severities. Since my boyfriend developed celiac disease, I've been amazed by how many people think it is a literal choice or something. I will never understand why people think you're an asshole, wimp, or liar for having a common food allergy. I have heard people actually get irritated that there is gluten-free food. Just that it exists pisses them off. I know there are a lot of people trying to break the stigmas around mental health, but depression, I feel like it can be so hard to spot sometimes and also so deadly. PMDD. I thought that it was just normal PMS for over a decade. It wasn't until I got hospitalized a second time for suicidal ideation right before my period before someone was like, hey, you shouldn't be obsessively thinking about killing yourself the week before your period every month. The birth control I'm on literally saved my life because it helped with both PMDD and my irregular cycles. Panic disorder. Very misunderstood, and people downplay the seriousness by saying things, I'm having a panic attack, just for dramatics, kind of like how people will casually be like, I'm OCD, when they don't realize how debilitating these mental disorders actually are. As a member of our /gallbladders, and still recovering from my surgery, I'm going to say gallbladder function and gallstones. The pain is unlike almost anything else. They can cause lifelong complications as well as pain. and too few people know how to recognize symptoms to deal with it. And when they do find out it's an issue, they tend to ignore it until it becomes an emergency, which it will. The eating disorders that cause people to be fat, the opposite of bulimia and anorexia. Because when we see a sickly-looking thin person and know they have an eating disorder, we are sympathetic. We don't tell them to just eat more. We know they have a mental problem. When people see a fat person, most people are not sympathetic. Doesn't matter if they have an eating disorder that causes it. People will just say, wow, that person should just eat less, even if they have a mental problem causing them to overeat. Tinnitus, ulcerative colitis, and Crohn's disease. It doesn't look the same from person to person, so it's hard to compare one person to the next. There are medications to help control it, but sometimes those stop working. Stress is one of my triggers for UC, and I work in a stressful environment. I was hospitalized last year because I couldn't stop going to the bathroom, having debilitating cramping pain, and bleeding constantly. When I was pregnant, I magically went into remission. Slowly coming back now that I'm not preggers anymore. Anxious face with sweat, back to watching what I eat and keeping my stress down. Symptoms of retinal detachment. When you start noticing a sudden increase in floaters, you may be losing your eyesight permanently. Arthritis, especially rheumatoid arthritis. It's not just having achy joints. Not exactly a disease, but I would say ambulatory wheelchair users. Many diseases/injuries can cause this, and so many people don't know what ambulatory wheelchair users are, which creates a lot of stigma at times. Parkinson's. Everybody is getting laughed at because of their shaking body parts. Endometriosis. Dementia. MS. I get told daily I don't look sick. Complex PTSD is a fucking nightmare to live with. Trichotillomania and dermatillomania. Those with trichotillomania pick out our hair to relieve stress. Those with dermatillomania pick at their skin to relieve stress. I had trichotillomania for 17 years before I was able to stop. I believe 1% of the population, mostly women, have it. Sciatica. I feel so bad for anyone that has it. My husband's left leg went completely numb in the past, and there's only so much one can do. The silent struggle of mental health issues. It's time we talk openly about it. Just like physical health, our minds need TLC too. Let's break the stigma and start the conversation. Not a disease/illness, but the overuse of antibiotics. Damn it, Otto, you have lupus. Complex regional pain syndrome/CRPs, formerly RSD. It's a very rare pain syndrome that can occur after damage to a nerve, such as surgery, or after falling and breaking a bone, injuring the nerve along the way. It's usually misdiagnosed as something less, and if it is diagnosed, it is usually late and treatment timeframes are smaller, and arguably not as effective. There is type 1 and 2 CRPs. I'm writing that we could absolutely wipe tuberculosis from the face of the planet, but for some reason we're just deciding to not do that. And we totally should do that. Train with John Green. Really surprised not to see long COVID here yet. So, long COVID. Know exactly in illnesses but menopause. Endometriosis.